Welcome to a Lucky 8 webisode. Today we're going to do a quick install of a 2-inch Old Man Emu lift kit. I've cheated already, tires are off, everything's loose. I'm going to blast right through it. The first thing we're going to do is support the axle and then remove the shock. You want to be real careful not to lower the axle down too far and rip apart your ABS sensor and your brake line. So with the axle supported, we're going to remove the shock. I think I already said that. Our lovely assistant Kristen here is going to hand me a 19mm speed wrench. Thank you. Disconnect the first bolt. Set that aside, we'll be reusing it. Pull the bottom bolt out. Pull the shock out. I love the rusty East Coast trucks. So now we have the shock off. We need to get this spring out. In order to do that, we're going to remove the brakes, real gentle like. Again, pay attention to these lines. And we're going to disconnect the ABS sensors. Just pull it apart, that easy. You're going to need a 10mm to bust these off. 10mm? Anybody? Anybody?
Right here, Justin.
Thank you very much. Break them loose. Don't lose that. And one on the bottom. We're going to gently take the brakes off. Sometimes you have to pry them off. Mind that the pads don't fall out. I'm going to set this back here. Now that the ABS sensor is free, the brakes are free, we need to remove the sway bar back here, which is an 18. I don't know who uses an 18. Kristen, 18 please.
I do.
Ooh, thank you. So, we can take a look back here. The rear sway bar is what's going to stop us from dropping the axle down. So we want to pull this off right here with said 18. You're going to have to do the exact same thing on the other side. With both of those free, we can now lower down the axle. Alright, so we're going to release the pressure and drop the axle down. The axle down, put a little oomph on it. With the axle down, you can put a little oomph and pop it out. Springs out. The new spring is not going to fit in here. It's much larger and thicker. So we need to somehow push the axle down to allow you freedom to put the spring in and out and get the ice later on. A real common thing to do is to use the D2 bottle jack. Stick it on the axle and catch it right on the frame. Kristen's going to put the spring in place and I will release the pressure on the jack. On the top of the spring, we're going to replace the old isolator. And up it goes. Spring in place, remove said bottle jack. Now it's time to put the shocks on. If I can get a shock, please. Thank you very much. In order to get the bottom bolt on, we're going to have to jack the axle back up. Tighten everything down, reinstall the brakes, and you're all set to go. We'll move to the front. So the front proposes a few challenges to us compared to the rear. First, we've got two 13mm bolts holding down the shock. Then the shock tower itself is going to need to come off with also 13 millimeters. We're going to break these off. We're going to break these off. We're going to lower the truck back down and pull the whole entire shock tower and shock right through the engine compartment. So, if Kristen can provide me with a 13 millimeter ratchet, well, yeah. Thank you again. Sneak this in between the spring a little bit. As Robbie would say, it's a tricky trick. Make sure to set these aside. We're definitely going to reuse them. Now a 13 millimeter speed wrench will work the best for the top right here. Kristen? Yeah. Thank you. We're going to set the truck down, pull through the top. With the shock tower out, we need to remove the one bolt. Remove the shock and insert the new shock. Whoa. Thank you. What we're going to need to do next is release the front sway bar to allow the axle to drop down a little bit. 5/8 wrench and an 18 millimeter. Okay, shock's out, tower's out, sway bar's been released. We're going to use the bottle jack, pry down the axle, same as we did in the back. Okay, with the spring out, you're going to see that the spring plate itself is attached to the ABS line and the brake line. It's a little clip. Pull that off. That'll free up the brakes. And you can pop the ABS right off. Now the plate is free. We're going to bottle jack it down, get the new spring in place, release it, drop the shock down, pretty much all set. If our lovely assistant Kristen will bring the spring over. Wonderful. Beautiful. Release the pressure. Nice and gentle. Drop the truck down again. I'm going to drop the shock tower and shock just the way we pulled it out. With the tower in place, we're going to tighten up those bolts. 13 millimeter. We're going to lift up the axle with our jack so that we can install the bottom portion of the shock. Takes a little bit of finesse to wiggle it back and forth to get the bolts to line up. Tighten those down. Reinstall the ABS sensor and brake lines. Drop into place the sway bar, and you guys are all set.